Hi, this is Mr. Warden. This is a video key of TONOW 32.1, and I have summarized Theorem 60b and put all the labels of the x and the y and the c and the b and the a and the h and all that stuff, and I put the three formulas that come from this. H squared equals x times y, b squared equals x times c, and a squared equals y times c. And these are all H, B, and A are all parts of their mean proportionals. That's why they're squared. And these are all based upon proportions that can be formed from these three similar triangles. The big one, the one on the left, and the one on the right are all similar triangles. The one on this side shares angle B with the big one and just twists here. So this vertex corresponds with that one, and this vertex corresponds with that one for the big one. Same thing here. A is a shared angle by both the small triangle on the left and the overall big one. And then this vertex here corresponds with this vertex on the big triangle, and this vertex for the small triangle corresponds with this vertex for the big triangle. And so it leads to all these proportions. So let's take a look at this question. So here we've been given this side here and this portion here, which we'll call y, okay, and if we go back up here to the diagram, a and y are on top of each other in this structure. We're supposed to find x. So let's take a look here. We've got a, y, and c. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. Since this is a 3, 4, this is a right triangle, this will make a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. So this side should be 6. So that would actually make it really easy. And the other way to do it is with a simple quadratic. I'll do it both ways. So we can work out that h is 6 just by using Pythagorean triples. So this is going to be 6, okay, because that's part of a 3, 4, 5 family of triangles. And so we can just say that's h, so h squared equals x times y, so that's going to be 6 squared equals 36, and that equals x times 8. Okay, so x will equal 36 over 8, which will be, factor 4 out of both of those, 9 over 2, or 4.5. Okay, so that's one way to approach it. Another is with a simple quadratic. So we know A has a relationship with Y and C. So A squared, so let's say we got the other approach is going to be A squared equals y times c. Okay, now c is this whole thing and y is just this. Okay, so we know what a is. Actually, we won't even need a quadratic for this. It'll work just fine. Okay, so we know that c is x plus 8. We know a is 10, and we know that y is 8. So we can say 10 squared is going to equal 8 times x plus 8. And then we can work that out. That's going to be 100 equals 8x plus 64. And then we'll subtract 64 from both sides. You'll end up with 36 equals 8x, which is kind of what we ended up here. And then we'll divide both sides by 8. So x will equal 36 over 8, which is going to be 9 over 2, which is 4.5 units. Okay, and of course, I didn't give you units, so call it units or badgers if you prefer. Now here, this one, I thought that it might be useful for me to label things. I realize it's a little bit of a busy labeling, but this is B and X, and this is A and Y, and there's H, and that's C. And so let's take a look at what we've got. So we're trying to find the measure of EH. So EH is X, so we want X. We've been given hg, which is y. We don't know what h is, so we can't do h squared equals x times y. That won't quite work. but we are given b, and b is going to equal c times x, okay, or b squared, I should say. So we can work that out. So b squared is going to equal x times c. Okay, so well, b is going to be 3 root 5 squared, so that's 3 square root of 5 squared, and that's going to equal c times x, okay? Well, x is unknown, and x is actually what we want, so that's going to be x times c, which is going to be x plus 4. Okay, so now we can start sorting this out, and this is why I'm suggesting you might need some simple quadratics. Well, let's square this. So 3 squared is 9, and the square root of 5 squared is 5. So that's going to be 9 times 5, which is 45. And over here, we're going to get x times x plus 4, or x squared plus 4x. All right, so now we've got 45. I'll say x. I'm going to do it the other way. X squared plus 4x equals 45. We need to make this equal 0, so I'm going to say x squared plus 4x minus 45 is going to equal 0. And now we can factor this and figure out what x would be. And this is one of the reasons I was emphasizing quadratics and factoring last year. This one can be factored. We're going to need two factors of negative 45. So I'm going to do a little x here. We need two factors of negative 45 that add up to 4. Okay, and this is just a tool for organizing your information. So two factors of 45 that add up to 4. Well, 1 times 1 and 45, and the small one will be negative, so we have a negative and a positive. Okay, so negative 1 and 45 would get you that, but it adds up to 44. Then negative 3 times 15 gets you 12. And then we've got negative 5 and positive 9. Negative 5 and positive 9 do the job. So negative 5 and positive 9. And then over here in this little x thingy, I'll just do that. X plus 9 and x minus 5. And those were our factors. And they equal 0. So we have x minus 5 times x plus 9 equals 0. Okay, if that's true, then x could be 5, because if x was 5, 5 minus 5 would be 0, and this whole thing would equal 0. Or x could be negative 9, because negative 9 plus 9 would be 0. Okay, but x isn't going to be a negative number, so we'll discard it. So we're going to say x equals 5 and negative 9, but negative 9 is extraneous. Fancy word for it. Because we will not be considering negative dimensions. Okay, so x, should say x, which is of course EH. X is EH, and EH has a measure of 5 units. And we're done. Hopefully that helped.